The next morning, the president calls me. I don't know, it was early. And he said, Salena, this is President Donald Trump. Like I didn't know it was him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he says, are you okay? Is your daughter okay? Is your son-in-law okay? He says them by name. Like I can't even believe he remembers that. He's by himself. There's no one with him. So it's not like he has like a little crib sheet, right? And I said, are you bleeping kidding me? You just been shot and you're asking about me. And then I'm like, oh my God, I just swore at the president. And I got myself really upset. He ended up calling me 7 times that day. We had a very in-depth conversations and people can read it. But I want to go back to the cover of that book and why this moment's important. Because I asked him, I said, why did you say fight, fight, fight? And I'll never forget this. He goes, well, Salena, I wasn't Donald Trump in that moment. I was representing the presidency. And I had an obligation. Yeah, I get chills every time I say
I just got the chills too.
Yeah, I have an obligation as a former president and maybe potentially president again to show strength, to show people that we are resolved and nothing will hurt us or take us down, and we continue on. And I have
That's amazing. That moment. I mean, we have it. Here it is. I mean, we've talked about the assassination moment. Let's look at the fight, fight, fight moment in SOT 32.
Wait.
The fist up, saying fight, surrounded by the Secret Service agents. It's his incredible combination of like, yes, he has hubris. Of course, every president does, but also understanding how to lead, how to be strong and how to lead, what people need in a leader.
Yeah, we revisited that question 2 weeks ago. It'll be out in my Washington Post story on Friday. Very emotional interview between him and Helen Compatore, the widow of Corey Compatore, and myself.
Oh, wow.
And I asked him again. I said, you told me that. He goes, yeah, I did. I said, he goes, well, I mean, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. That's why I'm going full steam ahead, because I have purpose. God's hand was in that moment, and I have an obligation to be the best that I can be for this country. And again, I get goosebumps because people have all these different thoughts about who they think President Trump is. And as a reporter, and trust me, he's gotten mad at me too along the way.
Yeah.
But as a reporter, there is a humanity and empathy in him.
Always remembers your name, always asks about your children and your grandchildren.
Yes. Always looks you in the eye.
Was obsessed with your hair, which is fantastic. By the way, something funny about Trump, occasionally I do hear from the president in one way, shape, or form. And if he calls me, he says the same thing. It's your favorite president by far, by far. He's funny, That to me is actually not exactly hubris. It's just funny. It's almost self-deprecating because he's just sort of like, yes, I am, period.
Yes. He's very, very funny. There's a part in the book where he chases me around the green room with hairspray.
But yeah, he really wants you to try hairspray because he loves your hair. He can't believe you don't need hairspray.
President. Yeah, Mr. President, my hair is big enough. I do not need hairspray. And last week, or 2 weeks ago, when I rode on Air Force One. Now, let me tell you, as a kid that grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, who has been a waitress and worked in a sewage treatment plant and had been a cafeteria lady, right? Like I've not exactly had this life of privilege. And to be on Air Force One is like, oh my God, who am I? But as we're going from Air Force One into the Beast, which is the vehicle that the president uses, he asked me if I want a Diet Coke, and I scrunched my face. I do not have a poker face. Obviously, if anybody's watching this, they can see that. And he goes, "Wait, well, you don't like Coke?" I'm like, "No, I don't like pop." He goes, "Pop?" And so he couldn't believe I didn't like it. He goes, "You try, you like it. It's the best Coke ever."
It's amazing.
And
it's amazing he's as healthy as he is at his age, subsisting on McDonald's, Diet Coke, and Hershey chocolate bars. Keep going.
Yeah. And so I tried it, no poker face. I made a face and goes, I can't believe you don't like Coke. So,
So, but you know, I think it's so interesting. You talked to him 7 times the day after the shooting, and for at least 10 minutes a time. To me, that tells me he needed to talk to you. Like he must have needed to talk to people who were there, who are
yes.
rational, who saw it, who had a perspective on it. And you write something in the book to the effect of, I gave him the time and space to figure it out for himself, like what the sort of the wisdom that would come from what had happened to him. Because I'm sure it wasn't instantaneous. I'm sure it did take a while. We saw that a little at the RNC, which happened a week later. He still had the bandage on his ear, where, you know, he was a little meandering in the speech, but you could see he was openly grappling with, like, was I saved? You know, like, maybe something
Yeah.
extraordinary is happening with me. Maybe I actually am. I mean, I believe Trump believes in God. I don't think he's
Yes.
particularly religious,
Right.
but I do think that that experience started to reframe his own purpose here for him. And you
Yes.
were
And he
part of that in
mentioned,
the early day.
yeah. And that's why I decided, I know other journalists would push him to talk and push him to say things, but I didn't think that was right. I knew he was going through something, and I thought it was important for him to be able to figure that out while we had that conversation. And this has been very humbling for him. The death of Corey has had a huge impact on him, and you'll find that throughout the book. But also purpose and God have really had a spiritual impact on him in a way that I don't think people truly understand, but they can see in the way he is leading his presidency.
Since President Trump was sworn in, his administration has made enormous progress at a breakneck pace. But don't forget, while they're moving mountains for the good of the nation, you've got your own personal savings to worry about. And one of the best ways to look after your savings is through diversification, particularly with gold, like from Birch Gold Group. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has increased by 40%. OMG. Central banks continue to bolster demand for gold by buying in record quantities. Global instability and tension is high, and Birch Gold makes owning physical gold extremely easy. Easily convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or buy some to store in your home safe. Just text MK to the number 989898 and Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of your savings today. Text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.